And just Emery, if you would tell us when everybody's admitted and we're ready to start the public portion of the meeting.
You should be all set.
Okay. This is a meeting of the State of Maine Apportionment Commission, public portion of the meeting. We've just completed an executive session about a matter, and we're ready now to proceed with the public portion of the meeting. And I welcome the new people who are here. The commission has already convened. It has a quorum, so we're ready to proceed. The first matter on the public business session is review and approval of the minutes of the May 27th meeting. Those have been circulated to the commission previously, and I would ask if there are any updates or comments or whatever on the minutes of the Apportionment Commission meeting that was circulated earlier. Any comments, suggestions, upgrades, things like that? And again, I will check and see if there are any hands up, but just go ahead and unmute and speak if anybody has any suggestions on it. Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of June 27th.
Okay, thank you, Representative Perry. And any kind of second of that?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Representative Dumfrey, and all in favor or any objection? Hearing no objection and everybody being in favor, the minutes are approved. Next, we will go to and we will welcome Assistant Attorney General John Bolton to go to a discussion of the status of the petition to extend the deadlines, and also perhaps a report on the at least impressions he may have had from the June 30th hearing before the Supreme Judicial Court. And thank you for doing that, John. Sounds like you did a good job based on my observations and some others who heard the hearing. Jonathan Bolton, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, so just to bring everyone up to speed, after we filed the petition, there was a vote by this commission to join the petition. We filed a motion to do that, and that motion was granted, along with an order amending the petition to allow for seeking additional relief in terms of the commission's authority to act after the June 1st deadline. So that is now part of the petition that we're asking the Supreme Judicial Court to grant. So as Justice Alexander said, on June 30th, there was, I'm not sure you'd call it an argument. It was a hearing, I guess, because but I was the only one there, because there was no, even though the court allowed for anybody who wanted to file a opposition or a response to our petition, nobody filed anything. So they held this hearing. I was the only lawyer participating, and I think it went about half an hour. They let me speak for a couple minutes, and then the rest was just many questions about the petition. I would say that the questions focused a lot on exactly how to read the constitutional provisions, and also what exactly their authority was to act and to grant the petition. I didn't get the sense, I got the sense that the justices understood the problem very well, and were just looking to understand, what exactly would be the court's authority to act, what would be the correct, legal rationale to act, to grant the petition if that's what they're going to do. I wouldn't say there was any strong, the court didn't make any, give any strong indication of exactly how they're going to rule. I think it seemed that different justices had slightly different perspectives, and we're thinking those through through the questioning. But I remain cautiously optimistic. But obviously we'll have to see what the court does. The Chief Justice did say that she expected the court to issue a ruling soon, and so hopefully we'll see something soon, and we'll have some more clarity about where to go from here.
Okay. Thank you, John. Any questions from any commission member? And again, just speak right up if you have a question, once you unmute. I see no questions because we're basically in a holding pattern till the Supreme Court responds. So anyways, thank you very much, John, for this presentation, and we hope we can get a response fairly soon to give us guidance on where we go from that time. And you're certainly welcome to stay and attend the rest of the meeting. What we're going to be doing now is switching to a discussion about how things were done in the past and what we ought to be at least think about doing going forward. So anyways, you're welcome, as any member of the public is, to continue to hear that. But thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll turn off my video, but I'll listen in for the rest of the meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great. Thanks. And next, we're going to the item 6 on the agenda, the discussion of process used by past commissions and what this commission we may anticipate going forward for what we're going to do, recognizing it's different than the anything in the past, because the past commissions already had their census data and a set timeline to work on. But what I particularly appreciate comments about is for those of you who have participated in the past commission or apportionment or reapportionment processes, just advice on how they worked and how that can contribute to us, for those of you who have participated in the past. For example, I know that recall that Senator Bennett successfully involved himself in the Supreme Court proceedings in 2003 to keep a couple towns that are traditionally a single community together in the Senate districts in Oxford County and all. And I know some of others of you who have also participated in the past of these matters. I think Senator Davis also successfully involved himself in the 2003 thing, but I don't see him in this meeting. But anyways, I particularly invite comments from those of you who have had involvement with past reapportionments and how that has gone, what the commissions have been. Whoop. Oh, Senator Davis is on. And getting his computer set. A background set. But anyways, in the so for those of you who have done things in the past, I think Josh Tardy, you may have had some involvement in the past. Could you advise us of what has been done and how that could inform what we ought to be doing?
Sure. And good morning, Mr. Chair, and thank you. I don't have a specific recollection on the timing for which we accepted public comment on various proposed maps. I defer to Emery if he could sort of look at sort of the past minutes of past commissions and that body of work. But certainly there's an opportunity for the public to comment. I would expect in our timeline, it will be certainly dependent on when we get the census data and can begin our sort of substantive work on mapping. And but I would actually, Mr. Chair, I defer to Emery and his review of sort of past minutes and processes.
Okay. Any other, Emery, is there advice you can provide us, or do we have the perhaps ability to access past minutes or map creating documents or things like that?
Yeah, I haven't dug into that yet, but I'm happy to reach out to the law library and get a question to them and try to dig up some of those past minutes for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because that may be useful, and generally they provide their stuff in PDF forms. So it's something we may be able to circulate to the commission. But beyond that, one thing I think I'm particularly interested in is to what extent in the past, and particularly this would be the most recent activity was 2011 through 2013. Most recent activity before that was 2003. To what extent did the commission do independent work to create maps, or simply respond to or try to, work with the maps the caucuses had created? I ask that because my impression is the way the budget was set, we anticipate most of the work to be done by the caucuses, with the commission having a sort of middle role, but did not involve retaining of experts to develop our own maps. Could people give me some comment or ideas and observations on that?
Mr. Chair, it's my recollection that the caucuses and the caucus consultants worked on a regular basis with the various chairs, and shared sort of in-camera mapping proposals. And as at the same time that the caucus consultant was discussing potential maps with the chair, is also discussing potential maps with the opposing caucus. And so a lot of behind the scenes discussions, and then certainly the summary of the work and the status of those discussions would be divulged in a public meeting as the commission met.
Mm-hmm. So the commission then, in the past, didn't have an independent expert, independent person with the computer and map drawing skills and things like that to do work. It simply relied on interaction with the caucuses and their maps. Is that your recollection?
That is, but certainly it's contemplated that you would have the authority to have your own consultant and your own mapping done.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been necessary in the past, because the fact of the matter is that most of the overall maps, most everything was agreed, and it was those a few times when the differences were what caused the reapportionment to go to court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course the reapportionment didn't go to court except for accelerating the date of the congressional districts in
Right.
2011 to 2013 thing. In 2003, only the Senate districts and the congressional districts went to court and
Right.
resolved those appropriately with the participation of Senator Davis and Senator Bennett at the time. Senator Jackson, do you have any comments on what you'd anticipate, or what's been done in the past, or whatever?
Yeah, I think what Josh just talked about was my recollection too. I mean, we obviously had someone we had hired that worked on the maps. When we got together with Josh and Dave Emery occasionally to go over proposals and things like that, and then came back to the overall commission a couple times. In the end, we were able to strike an agreement, and then presented it to Mike Friedman and then the entire commission, and then obviously went forward and had the vote and supported the work of both caucuses. So that went very well last time. That's the way I remember it. So
Okay. Did the commission have any separate consultant for the commission on drawing the maps or?
Not the last time.
Okay,
We just, like you said, I mean, it went, well, I mean, went better than I expected anyways. And, yeah, we just kept sharing different proposals and stuff like that. And, kept narrowing it down, and eventually we came to an agreement.
okay. Does anybody else have any comments on the past? I know Senator Bennett and Senator Davis were involved in the 2003 ones. Any comments on how the past went, whether the commission had consultants, and also what, and this would be to anybody, what staff the commission had, but particularly I'm asking first for the recollections of Senator Davis and Senator Bennett, if they want to offer anything.
Yeah. This is Rick Bennett. I actually wasn't very involved in the process in the past. I think I may have weighed in regarding some interest in my area of the state, but beyond that, I wasn't actually involved with the commission process, so I don't have much to add there.
Okay, so your involvement was at the Supreme Court level then, where you made some suggestions and we accepted them. Yes, in 2000.
May have, yeah.
Trust me.
Okay, your recollection is better than mine.
Well, not necessarily recollection. I just read I read the 2003 opinions to prepare for my commission work. So, and both you and Senator Davis had made suggestions that were accepted in that. Okay.
Well, good. Well, thank you.
Okay. Senator Davis, any comments you want to offer? Okay. Next question I have then is what type of staffing other than consultants did the commission have? Because I recognize also that the primary budget here went to the two caucuses. I mean, the commission has a budget approved of 37,000. Each of the caucuses has a budget approved of 121,000. And by the way, I've been speaking with the Legislative Finance Office, and there is going to be an order forthcoming that authorizes these expenditures in fiscal year 22, because they were only authorized for fiscal year 21 when they were originally voted by the last legislature. But that's going to be taken care of. But what other staff do you think the commission ought to have? We have Emery Younger, who's available and helping us out, but he's really part of the speaker staff. And should we seek any independent staff, and what perhaps functions would that staff have in the time?
Mr. Chair, I'm certainly comfortable with Mr. Younger being the primary staff person for the commission, and then I think if there becomes a need for you, Mr. Chair, to have some additional staff, and I think you can address that as is your prerogative at the appropriate time. But in the past, I believe that we've had a designated staffer, and certainly we have a designated assistant attorney general, Mr. Bolton, which has been helpful for us today as well. So.
Yep. Okay, and I would ask then both Emery Younger and John Bolton, is it okay if, with the extent of work they've had so far, to be sort of be with us and supportive going forward?
Absolutely. I'm fine with that arrangement as it's been going forward now. I think operating sort of as a clerk and assistant to you, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to do that going forward as the process continues.
Okay. And John Bolton, are you comfortable with sort of being sort of there and, occasionally called on, but recognizing once we get the data, there's going to be sort of a lot more work we're going to have to be doing, perhaps as sort of just, working together to mediate any issues between the caucuses. Hopefully it'll be that way, and hopefully we can be successful. As opposed to doing our own work. But John Bolton, are you available for for that too?
I believe so, Mr. Chair. I probably, it's beyond what I was originally brought in to do. So I probably
Right.
want to check with my higher ups to make
Okay.
sure that they're comfortable with that. But
Yep.
I'm certainly happy to if the Attorney General is good with that.
Okay, and because, and I particularly note that it's probably going to be pretty intense work in September and October, and some follow-up work even perhaps into November. Though, because if we're successful, it won't go to the court, and we can resolve everything by the end of October. But and I trust with this commission that it looks like we can work things out together. So anyways, appreciate that. Okay, next question going forward then. Do anybody else have any questions or comments with regard to Emery Younger's role or John Bolton's role? Do I see a hand, Rick Bennett, or you just there? No, okay. All right. The next thing is we're going to get the data sometime around mid-August, according to the current statements of the plan, and assuming the commission can function because the Supreme Court extends our deadline. Are there anything that we should be thinking about or doing before then? And I think I've told some of you already. I tried playing with 2019 data from the Census Bureau to see what issues might be available, and beyond sort of general areas, indications of where population has declined and population has increased, which sort of you can take north to south, and there's been decline in the north and increase in the south. But beyond that, I found that trying to be too precise is difficult because some of the things didn't add up. I think we know we're going to have to be, increasing the area of the second district. We can tell that, and probably therefore having to be increasing areas in Kennebec County that are included in the second district. Beyond that, it's tough to say. So, anybody think there are things we should be doing before we get the data? Should we be having preliminary hearings or anything like that? What do you think? Senator Jackson? Anything?
Well, thank you, Chairman Alexander. I honestly don't. I mean, until we get that data, I don't really know, what we'd be doing. Obviously, when we get the data, then it's going to be a mad scramble to try and, assuming the court lets us, get that done in 6 weeks or whatever. But
Okay.
Really wouldn't know what to do before then.
Okay. Senator Bennett, Senator Davis, any other comments you want to offer on that?
No, I agree with what President Jackson suggested. I think, first and foremost, we need to find out whether we're authorized to do any work. And then secondly, I wouldn't pre-jump too much here. I think we can know what the rules are and get the other pieces of our today's agenda set. But then I personally think we just really benefit by waiting.
Okay. Any other commission member or participant? I'd be glad to have any comments from Representative Dillingham too, about what we might do before we get the data, or if we should do anything before we get the data. Okay.
She has actually left the room for the moment, but
okay. Representative Morris. Well, do you want to offer any observations? Representative Morris, do you want to? You're muted.
Yes, I am. Sorry. No, I think that works. I think, we can't really do anything until we get the data anyway. And I would agree with that, as well as the issue of not sure when we're going to be able to operate and all of that, waiting on the court. So I think, as has been said, we're kind of in a holding pattern anyways.
Yep. Okay. All right. I appreciate that then. And that's what we'll probably look forward to doing, is being in a holding pattern, and then really gearing up and having a lot of work to do from mid-August to, if we're successful, by the end of October. If we're not, we're going to have to be offering more suggestions to the court up into November. But anyways, okay, any other observations on processes used by past commissions, or what we ought to be doing now before we get the data, if anything? My impression is that most of the commission members think we should, there is no need to do much before we get the data. And I just wanted to make sure that's okay with the commission members. If that's all, if that's, anybody wants to offer anything, then go ahead. If not, we will move to the next area. All right, then we will move to item 7 on the things which are basically administrative activities for the commission. And I'd ask Emery, is there any progress yet on identifying an office for us to start collecting things like the data we're going to get from the library, hopefully on past experiences, or perhaps getting some computers too. Is there anything that was doing on that? Is there anything that we're going to need to be doing to get office space for the caucuses, or is that going to be provided offsite by the parties?
Yeah, so in the past, my understanding is that the caucuses have been housed in space in the cross building, and we're in conversations right now with the executive director's office to try to determine what space is available and what we might be able to have access to. Now that session is wrapping up and executive directors have a little bit less on the plate, we should be able to further those conversations and make sure we have something set up by August.
Okay. That's good to hear. Anybody else want to offer any comments on that? So the idea would be, the anticipation would be the commission itself would have a small space, and that the caucuses would also have office space in the cross building, or perhaps the State House, most likely the cross building. Any other, is that generally acceptable to everybody participating here? And we're obviously going to try to identify that office space as quick as possible, because there is some things that we're going to want to do, start collecting in there, and start figuring ways to use the space and display the maps and things like that. Once we get the office space, we're also going to need some monitors and all, because one of the important things for this is in any meeting you're going to want the maps on a monitor, so you can then sort of work with them, and we'll go on that. Any other comments or observations regarding office space? Okay. The next issue then is just sort of a general issue of reimbursement. I've been in contact with Donna Lopatarski, the legislative finance director, and just offering observations she's communicated to me. First of all, she's indicated that, and as the law provides, generally the commission, when they have meetings, is reimbursed, but we go on the same rules as legislative committees. And as long as the meetings are remote, the meetings are not reimbursed as in the same status as legislative committees. When we do have commission actions that are likely to be reimbursed, you would do it by filling out a travel voucher, which would be provided to you at the time, and then that has to go through according to Ms. Lopatowski, that has to go through me for approval. She then observed that for getting compensation for the caucus activities, she would just assume that the requisitions for compensation for payment to contractors, things like that, come through me, so I can certify, yes, they're doing this work, as opposed to go directly to her. But she indicated also that it would be acceptable if they, the caucuses sent their material request for reimbursement directly to the Legislative Finance Office. So she would prefer that it go through me to check off. One of the things I first did as chair was went over to the Legislative Finance Office. And they indicated that one of the important things I should do is be the one who checks off and approves contracts. But anyways, her preference would be that I do it, that I check off things that come from the caucuses for payment. So anyways, is that okay with people, or would you rather just submit the things directly without submitting stuff through me? For those of you who are representative of the caucuses here, we've got several of you who are that. Josh Tardy, Bev Eulenhake, Matt Moon, and Joe Turcott. Any of you or anybody else want to comment on that?
I'm good with submitting things through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for.
Okay.
Same here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and that was okay. So we have one from sort of each caucus, and I appreciate that. And so just they'll go through me, and hopefully, maybe they'll be done by email. But some of those things need to be in print, so we have to get an office for things can be there and go through the office, and hopefully that's going to occur relatively soon. So, anyways, thank you very much for that. And again, on the number 7, the reason for the remote / in-person meeting indication there was to follow up on the committee practice that there is no compensation for meetings like today's that are remote. When we are meeting live, when there's a formal commission meeting live, then it would be then that would be the daily compensation rate for the legislature when that happens. That doesn't mean that every time you go to the office you get paid, but every time there's a formal commission meeting, there would be requisition for that. And if the commission on commission business does travel, there would be compensation for lodging, meals, and so forth. But anyways, does anybody else have any questions? I'm basically communicating what's been communicated to me from the Legislative Finance Office, but does anybody else have any questions about administrative process, office space, reimbursements, and all? Any questions from anybody else? Okay, I appreciate that. And again, unmute and speak up if you want to have a comment, because that's better than me trying to find hands on all the people who are involved with this. Okay. Moving to the next area of business then, which is item number 8, other business and public comment. We have received a comment regarding county commissioner districts from Kevin Lamoureux, and I think that has been circulated to the commission. And then we have a request for public comment from John Browdigan, who I see is on the screen. And Mr. Browdigan, I would welcome any comment you want to make at this time. I would note that as is legislative committee practice, comments must be relevant to the issues that we're discussing, and also any public comment absent follow-up questions by the commissioners is limited to 5 minutes. And With that, Mr. Browdigan, welcome, and you may proceed. Make sure you unmute.
Thank you, Chairman Alexander and members of the commission. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, at least I can.
Okay. Thank you. My name is John Brodigan. I'm here on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Maine. The League of Women Voters is one of the oldest democracy organizations in the state and has a very strong interest in all aspects relating to our elections and public participation in those elections. I just make a couple quick points, and I note that I did submit something in writing, although I apologize that it was a little bit tardy regarding the deadline of yesterday. I would just point out that there is an intense public importance to the results of the work of this commission, and I'm sure everybody on the commission understands that, but I just want to reiterate that there are, a certain framing of this work. It appears to be essentially a tussle between the partisan caucuses of the two major parties, but there is a strong public interest that goes beyond that tussle, and within the limits of the statute and the Constitution, we would like to have the opportunity to, of course, observe and participate along the way. In terms of the process, we welcome the opportunity for public input today and further on later on with other public proceedings you may have. Secondly, we do support the petition to the Supreme Judicial Court, as has been previously mentioned. And we would support any efforts to front load some of the pieces of the work and the discussion, given the coming time crunch that we all anticipate for the fall, the meat of the work of the commission. Secondly, in terms of content and the output of this commission, make a couple quick points. The League of Women Voters is very committed to the principle of equal representation. So obviously the number of residents per district is one of the benchmarks of the success of the work of the commission. And again, sure that that's something that's front in the mind of all the members of the commission. Secondly, there are communities of interest within the state, groups with common interests. They may be towns, they may be demographic groups. And we would suggest that how those communities of interest are divided by district boundary lines is a relevant consideration. Third, we think competitiveness is good for democracy. It's good to have districts where there is a real possibility of different members of different parties succeeding in an election. We think that leads to good, robust public debate and vigorous representation. So we think that's a consideration. Fourth, there are certain markers of fairness. They could be geometric or mathematical or demographic, but certain markers that could create a filter for assessing the results of the redistricting and indicating objectively what's a fair output or fair result of all of the maps. And then finally, there are some unique issues regarding prisons, some special considerations because people are counted in a prison municipality rather than their last place of residence, and that raises some unique issues that we and others will weigh in on. But that's all that I wanted to say for today, and I refer you to our written submission. We really do appreciate the opportunity to be heard this morning and the opportunity to follow the work of the commission going forward. And we're very pleased with the start that's been made so far, and we look forward to the next few months observing and where permissible, giving some input on behalf of the league. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Browdigan. Commission members, any questions for Mr. Browdigan? And again, just go ahead and speak up if you have questions for Mr. Browdigan. Unmute and speak up, I should remind you. Hearing none, Mr. Browdigan, I have a couple. First of all, I hope we're not going to be having a tussle. What I've observed so far, at least, and what occurred in 2011 to 13 was, yes, there was some differing approaches, but it all got worked out in agreement and mutual respect and stuff like that. And it's fortunate, perhaps some of the sharp divisions we're seeing in some other states on these issues may not exist here. So we hope it's going to be sort of a cooperative effort and a successful effort, which is going to be important to perhaps get it done by agreement in the legislature, so we have more time, which is really not much time at all, to get the district set before they must be set on January 1, 2022. The other thing I'd request is if you have any literature regarding the sort of prison issue and where people count as residents when they're at a prison, if you could provide that to the commission. You can send it to Emery Younger, and the commission has an email address that's indicated on its website. We'd very much appreciate that. Any other questions of?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions of Mr. Brodigan? All right. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Brodigan. Is there any other member of the public? And I don't see anybody here that's not already on the line. Anybody, a member of the public who wants to say anything? Any commission member that wants to say anything? Okay, the next and final issue then to address is what our next meeting date ought to be. And basically, I would suggest we unless we think we ought to have monthly meetings, that we defer our next meeting date until sometime in mid-August after the likely receipt of the data, which is supposed to be around Monday, August 16th. Anybody, and I therefore might suggest, and again, I want to emphasize, unless people think we ought to discuss more in advance, based on the information we have today, I would suggest a August 18th meeting, and we would still have to determine whether that's live or remote. Remote may be better because we can get a higher participation. Live may be important if there's actually stuff to see, if we have maps that are able to be displayed by then or something like that, which probably won't occur by that time. But anyways, what do people think about August 18th or some alternative date? And what do people think about whether we think that ought to be remote or live? Representative Perry, I see you have a comment.
Yes, I'm wondering if it's possible to do a combination of remote and live. I know there may be a date that would be coming up where I may actually be out of the country, but I'd like to get in to the meeting if possible.
Okay. We can explore that. I think there are possible ways to have it remote and live. I'm told there are technical reasons why if you do it by Zoom, you can't do it that way because having all the people in one room is difficult by Zoom. I'm surprised at that, and maybe there are ways we can do it. We could certainly will explore whether we can do it that way, because that would be most inclusive of members of the commission. Plus, it would be easily available, viewed by the public too. I would hope we can do that. We'll explore it. I have asked legislatively related tech people about that, and they advise that has some difficulties because of feedback if we're using the Zoom technology. But maybe we can use other technologies. For example, I've used in programs with the Bar Association and the Board of Overseers, things where people can call in to a live meeting, and quite a few people can be on the lines and hear the meeting. And so we'll explore various ways to try to do it both ways if a live meeting would be useful. Maybe we won't have enough stuff to be able to sort of be passing things around, looking at maps in a live meeting. But anyways, we'll definitely try to accommodate both if we can. Does anybody else have any comment on Representative Perry's suggestion that we have try to achieve both a in-person and a live meeting? and, you know, a remote meeting for those who want to be remote, and a live meeting for those that are able to be participate live. Any other comments on that? All right. Next question is what we ought to try to set for a date. I sort of threw out August 18th because it's in the middle of the week and a couple of days after we're supposed to receive the data. Anybody else want to make any other suggestions or comments? Again, unmute if possible. I'm sort of zipping around the list to see if there's anybody who's has the hand up. Okay. Okay, then we will tentatively set the meeting for August 18th. Is the morning 9:30 as we did this meeting a good time, or is there a better time? Anybody want to make any comments on that? Okay. Well, then I would propose the next meeting be on August 18th. We will certainly be in August 18th, beginning at 9:30, and to be determined how much it's remote and how much it's in person. I will really try quite hard to assure that people that are unable or inconvenient to be in person are able to participate in this meeting remotely, Representative Perry. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so August 18th, 9:30 in the morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I won't make the 18th. I'll be off the grid at Red River Camps, but I'm sure Senator Libby and other members will be there to make sure that we're well represented. Yep.
You don't have one of those satellite communication things up at Red River Camps?
You'd be surprised that I have anything sitting right here in my house.
Yeah. Okay, well, whatever.
That's fine.
And they don't connect by cell. You can't even have cell phone connection?
No, nothing.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah, just brook trout. That's all there is there.
Okay, well, that's good enough. Isn't that right? They taste good. So anyways, all right. Well, I appreciate that. Would there be another day in that range of time, or is that basically a week here? Just
well, I don't really want to upset the cart for everyone else.
Okay.
Then,
okay.
You know.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate that. It's going to be. We're just going to be starting the work then, and all. So so basically, the 18th at 9:30 is August 18th at 9:30 is our next meeting date. Anybody else have anything they want to offer for this meeting? Okay. Then I want to thank you all for participating. And want to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. And the motion is moved. I heard two people move there, so kind of moved and seconded. And at this point, the meeting is, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. You'll be hearing from us. I appreciate your work up to now, and I look forward to working with you, not as a tussle, but as a cooperative effort to get a good job on good districts for Maine citizens. Thank you very much. See you in the